Hello, my name is Laurie Marr Wasmund, and I've been invited by the Colorado Authors League to read an excerpt from my novel, To Walk Humbly. To Walk Humbly is the third book in the White Winter trilogy, which also includes To Do Justice and To Love Kindness. To Do Justice begins in 1917 with America's entry into World War I, as we call it today. It follows three young Irish Catholic Americans as they navigate a changing world. Two of them, cousins Sean and Kathleen, go to France. Sean with the American Expeditionary Force and Kathleen with the American Red Cross. The third character, Maggie, stays home, where she experiences the inhumane treatment of conscientious objectors, the often violent prejudice against German Americans, and the restrictions of liberties throughout the United States. The second book, To Love Kindness, takes up the story in 1918 and ends on Armistice Day in November. The third book, To Walk Humbly, visits the same characters in 1923 when the Ku Klux Klan rises in power and takes over the state government of Colorado in 1924. The excerpt I'm going to read today looks at the plight of Catholic police officers in Denver who were either assigned to high crime areas or, in this case, to neighborhoods where distrust among the residents was high. Sean, who carries his own prejudices with him, has just been assigned to the west side near Sloan's Lake, which at the time was inhabited by Russian Jewish immigrants. As it happened, his initial encounter came on the first Friday night he patrolled the west side. He walked his beat, bored already by the quiet, by the isolation, his displacement. The legendary gangs of criminal boys turned loose by Ben Lindsay had yet to materialize, although there were plenty who didn't speak English. He hated being spied on by the men and shunned by the women, who would not meet his eye, but who hurried their children out of sight. What did they think he was, a degenerate who would lure the children into the alley with candy? He was a couple of blocks north of West Colfax when a roar echoed through the cold, brittle air. Motors revved and tires squealed, horns honked, and voices hooted in unintelligible catcalls. Sean sprinted toward the cacophony, cutting through alleys and across lawns. He burst onto a side street littered with the multicolored remains of bottles and mounds of rotten food. Everything was silent, although the smell of automobile exhaust lingered in the air. What in God's name? The steps of the brick building were covered with trash. A precisely lettered sign with a six-sided star emblazoned on the building read, Congregation Bethel Israel. Glass crunched beneath Sean's feet as he bounded up the steps to the door, but it was locked. Confused, he hurried past the dark, quiet businesses on Colfax Avenue. At a single-story shop, the long glass window had been smashed into jagged shards. He knocked on the door. Hello, police here. Is everything all right? No one responded, yet he could hear whispering. Sean reached through the broken window, unlocked the door, and let himself inside. The store was half the size of Sullivan's Grocery, and not a single light shone from any part of it. He clicked on his flashlight. Glass display cases stretched about 3/4 of the way on either side of the store, leaving the center of the store open. Shirts and trousers hung from racks above his head. In the back, hat boxes towered to the ceiling in neat stacks. Hello, he called. Who's here? After more whispering, a dark-haired woman emerged from the shadows. Good evening, she said. A window has broken. Someone's broken it, you mean? Was anyone hurt? Should I call for a doctor? No, it's all right now. Another woman spoke rapidly from the shadows in a language Sean could not comprehend. Stepping into the light, she tugged at the first woman's sleeve, trying to pull her back behind the hat boxes. I'm sorry, Sean said. You'll have to speak English. I don't understand. His voice trailed off. He had no idea what language it might be. Before he could speak again, the first woman said, "My brother's wife says we shouldn't trust you. You might be one of them." "Who? Who?" she mocked. "The Klansmen, of course. They come on Fridays, on our Sabbath. They honk and shout. They throw trash on our streets and defile our services. What, you didn't see them? Officer at the door of our synagogue, wearing their peaked hats and burning their torches?" "No, I didn't. Are you blind?" The anger in her voice rolled over him, a crushing wave. "This is nothing but another pogrom." "A what?" "A pogrom. The persecution of the Jews. It happened in the old country. Don't you read history?" "I am not a Klansman," Sean assured her. "I am an officer of the law. Now, please, I need to see what's happened." He switched on the electric overhead light. "Have you no respect?" The woman immediately switched the light off, casting the store into darkness once more, while the other woman called, "No, don't do that." "What's wrong?" Sean asked, befuddled. "We don't use the electricity on our Sabbath, and to turn it on or off is against our laws." "Your laws? I'm sorry." Sean assessed the damage as well as he could by flashlight. Picking through the shard-strewn shirts and ties, he discovered a large gray stone. "Here it is. It's a rock, not a brick." "What difference does that make?" the woman snapped. "Put it over there. I shouldn't take it from you." He laid the rock on the display case. "Are there any men here?" "Not now. My brother is observant." "Pardon?" "He's at the synagogue tonight." The synagogue, the word caught on his tongue, was locked. They do that for their own protection, so that they can pray in peace. The light of the flashlight caught her full in the face. Her complexion was smooth and even, with liquid eyes and a wide, soft mouth. She showed no fear, except for a slight tremble of her lips. "What's your name?" he asked, foregoing more businesslike questions. From the back, the other woman spoke in English. "You must wait until Max returns. It isn't right to talk to him." The woman ignored her. "Chava Rosen." It was a declaration, raw and strong, filled with pride and determination. She spoke the name as a challenge, a gauntlet. Without thinking, he smiled at her. "Do you find our troubles funny?" she asked. "No," Sean denied. "No, I was only—" "Who's Max?" "Max is my brother and Rachel's husband." Sean noticed that the other woman was pregnant. "And you all live here?" "Not here. We live near the lake." "What are you doing here then?" "We heard the sounds and came out to see what had happened." "It's not safe out there, especially if this is the work of the Klan. Who else would do such a thing?" Thank you. And thank you to the Colorado Authors League for honoring To Walk Humbly, the third book of the White Winter Trilogy.